women can do whatever they want. They can be cougars, they can be MILFs, right? I'd like to be a filth, but it doesn't even sound right, does it? It sounds filthy, it sounds nasty, it sounds disgusting.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, very good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, you too.
So, yeah, when we were talking, I was just curious because I don't see myself that way. But when we were talking on the before we started recording, you said that you thought I was intimidating, and I just wondered why.
Yeah, it's weird. People say that about me too. I don't know. Maybe you got the deep set eyes. It's like,
Yeah.
and granted, I've been doing martial arts for like 11 years now, and I'm a third degree, but it's like I don't ever think of myself that way because, of course, the guys in our dojo, there's like 4 or 5 masters, and there's a premier grandmaster, and they're just brutally brutal guys. I mean, they don't look, they look so benign,
Right.
and boy, that just teaches you to just be careful with everybody.
Exactly. I box.
Oh, see, I
Yeah.
never would have known that or
Yeah.
suspected.
Yeah. And you know, you said I looked intimidating. I always thought you looked intimidating. So it's like, you know, every time I worked with you, you got the Keith Richards gear, you know, you got the earring, you got you got the confident, quick delivery on stage.
Nice to be here. Tell you a little bit about myself. I'm at the beginning of old. I've been doing it about a week now. I realize I'm old because I don't care anymore. I'm at the point in my life I can look across the room. It can be like Scarlett Johansson, Margot Robbie, and I'm just like, it's too far to walk. You know what I mean? I'm in good shape for my age. I'm a black belt in Kung Fu. I don't want to fight anybody. I'm an old black belt. Best case scenario, somebody cuts in line in the early bird special. Maybe I kick their ass. That's all I'm saying. But I'm in very good shape. Who's in their 20s? Anybody in their 20s? Guys? No? Yeah, okay. Any guys in their 20s? Yeah? What's your name, sir? Jake, how old are you?
28.
All right, this is the difference between me and Jake. And remember, very good shape. But I'm not Jake because he's 28, right? Jake loses his arm in a combine accident tomorrow on the farm. Jake wakes up tomorrow, bam, he's got a new arm. Why? Because he's Jake, he's 28, he has a job, and he makes love 8 times a day. Let me tell you something, folks. I got a bump right here on the inside of my knee where I ran in the corner of a bed in 2006. Shit still hurts. And here's the other thing about Jake, 28. Jake's got good stories. When young people get hurt, they have good stories. You want to hear the stories. They're engaging stories. Jake, how'd you break your leg? I was up at Mammoth in December going down a hill like that, 70 miles an hour, with this blonde on my head. Took a tumble, snapped my leg in half, got the cast on yesterday, I get it off tomorrow. Why? Because I'm Jake, I'm 28, I have a job, and I make love 8 times a day. That's a great story, right? You see Jake a couple months later, he's in a body cast. Dude, what happened? Was in the Dodge Viper, took it around the corner too fast, smashed in the wall. Got the body cast on yesterday, I get it off tomorrow. Why? Because I'm Jake, I'm 28, I have a job, and I make love 8 times a day. That's a great story, right? You ever hear old people's stories? They're terrible. Nobody wants to hear them. How'd you break your hip? Well, I was opening the peanut butter jar and shit happens. How'd you break your wrist? Windy day.
Yeah, but
Let's not do this.
No. But I think usually trained fighters don't get into street fights.
No.
That's not what it's all about.
Twice in the last 2 years on the road, doing like one-nighters and stuff.
Right.
I'm sitting there at the bar, you know, finishing my beer after the show. I'm looking around, I'm going, this is not going to be good in another 10 or 15. Comedian the next day, dude, you missed it. There was this big brawl. I go, nah, I didn't miss anything. I knew that was coming. That's why I left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had anybody approach you after the show, either because you talked about Kung Fu or because they heckled and you put them down or?
No, so it's interesting. But before that, like back in the 90s, I had a gun pointed at me in Mississippi. And then I had these 2 white guys down in South Carolina that wanted to beat me up because I was making fun of the Klan. But then there was a big black guy in the audience that yelled out, "I got you! I got your back, homie." So as soon as the show was over, I went and sat with him and drank a beer, and they were so pissed. And then they just got up and left finally.
Okay.
That's the closest. And then I did get in one. It's funny. I was in Bend a long time ago, '90s, doing a Dawn at Verdict thing, and a guy
Right.
got mad, stood up and hit me with a beer mug, threw the beer on me and hit me in the chest. And I was wearing a suit, right
On
over the table, into it. And so that was the last time I worked for Dawn at Verdict.
that was you were on stage when he threw that?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's something that's totally intolerable. Somebody you
yeah.
don't throw.
With the lights in your face,
Yeah,
didn't even see it coming. If it had hit me in the head, it probably would have knocked me out.
right. Yeah, Jay Leno tells a story about that, about being knocked out with a ketchup bottle.
Whoa.
So, yeah, yeah. Somebody just walked up behind him and conked him with a ketchup bottle. And it's just like, oh,
Behind him.
yeah,
Oh God.
yeah.
People are nuts.
No, yeah. I've never had. I've had situations. I tell a story about a confrontation with another comedian on stage early on at the LA Cabaret, and it's on this channel that we're going to be on, that this is going
Yeah.
to be on, and I don't mention the guy's name. It was a long time ago, so I haven't seen him since. So I'm hoping I can see him sometime and laugh about it. But that was a physical confrontation that didn't come to blows, but the audience came up and separated us on stage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, that's as close as I've come. I had another one in foot.
Were you the guy on stage?
I was a guy on stage, and I was a regular. I'd become a regular at the LA Cabaret. I was
Right.
starting to get paid spots on weekends, and this guy was on a TV show that was pretty popular at the time, and he'd come in and host every now and then. And he'd never hosted a show that I was on, so he didn't know my act or whatever. But everybody there knew my act, all the staff and everybody. So I was on my closer, and I was right on time. And in the middle of my closer, he turns the light on, and I nod. Okay, yeah, all right. I got a minute to finish up. That's about right. And so I keep going, and before the minute was up, he gets on the PA from back in the sound booth and goes, "Show's over. Get off the stage."
Oh my God.
It's like, yeah, I've never had that happen before too, either. That was, it's like, what? I said, no, I'm just doing my closer. I'll be done in 30 seconds. And so I kept going, another 10 seconds. Show's over. Get off the stage. And
Oh my God.
he turns off my mic. And it's like, well, now there's no way I'm getting off the stage, you know? So I said, well, that's all right. I don't need it. And the audience is going, let him finish. Let him finish. They were into it, right? So I go, yeah, I don't need a mic. I can project. I have a pretty big voice. So I kept going, and I'm doing the guitar thing. And here I see him from the back come marching up, just like straight up on stage. This guy's only like 5'6" or 5'7". I'm 6'2". But he was in a state, and I've got my guitar. I'm just standing there. All of a sudden, I see him charging me, and without breaking stride, he grabs my shirt and keeps walking and pushes me back to the back to
Back wall.
to the back. Well, not even the wall. It was a big painting on a frame, and it starts wobbling. And that's when I said, "Oh shit! I got to stop now. I don't want to knock this over." And I'm not going to start a fight, but I'm not going to be pushed around either. So I grabbed him and I pushed him back to where we started. And this really pissed him off. So he's got a hold of my shirt. So he rips it, just intentionally,
Oh
just
my
rips it all the
God.
way down. And I'm going, well, okay. Again, I'm not going to start anything, but I'm not going to, I'm going to do the same thing you did. So I went to rip his shirt, and I missed his shirt, but somehow my fingers got caught in his gold chain, and I ripped his gold chain off his neck. And now he's livid. Now he's just like, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to kick your ass. And now, the bouncer's up on stage. Audience members are up on stage. They're separating us. And he's yelling the whole time. I'm just standing there. And eventually he gives up and turns around and walks out. the whole time he's walking back through the club, he's going, "I'm gonna kick your ass." And that was the last time I saw him, and that was like 25 years ago.
Oh my God.
I always hoped I would work with him because he's a name. So, I open for people with names every now and then. I was hoping I'd get to work with him. Go, hey, remember that time 20 years ago at the LA Cabaret? See if
Oh
we could.
my God.
Yeah.
Who was Ray booking it then, or was it Andy?
No, it was Ray.
And what did Ray say?
Well, yeah, Ray Bishop. For those that don't know, he was the owner of the club, and I got to give Ray a lot of credit. I'd worked my way up in that room, so I'd gotten to know Ray and the staff and everybody. I started out in the lounge, the open mic in the lounge between 6 and 8, and then worked my way into the big room as when I was building my act. And Ray calls me on the phone the next day, and he goes, "What happened?" And I told him what happened. And he goes, yeah, that's what the staff told me. The staff was on my side, and they saw the whole thing. He said, "That's what the staff told me." He goes, "You're lucky because he's on a show, and normally you'd be banned, but I've had trouble with him before, so I banned him." I'm like, I got to give Ray a lot of credit for that because this guy had, he's on a top-rated show at that time, and yeah, but he was a troublemaker at that time. I don't know what his deal was, if he's having a bad day, if he's all coked up, or who knows?
And he's still around.
He's still around, yeah. Yeah, I still see him working places every now and then. So, yeah, be fun to see if we could talk about it, I don't want to fight. Let's just talk about it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even want to do any time.
What's that?
I don't even want to do any time. I just want to talk about it.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and then I had another time in Fort St. John, British Columbia, and this was probably the scariest one because I'm standing on stage, and it was one of those rooms where you had to keep kind of like going. It people weren't right in front of you. So there's audience on the side, audience in front, and audience on the side. So you kind of had to keep, how you do, right?
Yeah.
Keeping in touch.
Like in a round almost.
Yeah. You have to kind of keep moving and keeping in
rotating.
Keeping in touch with everybody, keeping in contact. And so I'm turned this way, talking for a while, and then I turn back, and here's this guy standing right next to me. Now I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. I'm a pretty big guy. This guy's about maybe 6'3", 300 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And not fat. He was like a farmer.
Solid 300.
Solid 300 pounds with hands that looked like baseball mitts. And I just look at him, and he's just staring at me. He's got that blank, drunk, blackout stare.
Oh, no.
The kind where they're not wobbling, they're just staring.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Get the fuck off the stage."
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I assume that he's kidding. That's my first thought. Okay, what do you mean? And he does it again. "Get the fuck off the stage." And now I take a step back. I go back into that zone, that safety zone, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get off the stage, but I just take a step back, and I'm going, what the hell are you talking about? And he's just got a murderous look in his eye. And luckily the owner and his buddies were sitting right at the edge of the stairs to the stage, and they run up, and they know this guy. He's a regular apparently, and they start talking to him by name and saying, "All right, come on, Joe, whatever his name is, let's go, come on." They kind of coax him out the door.
Talk him off the ledge.
Yeah, talk him off the ledge, coax him out the front door, lock the front door so he can't come back in.
We're open for business, but not to this guy.
Not to this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm shook. I'm actually shook up because this is long before I started boxing, for one thing. But even if I could box, this guy wasn't to be messed with. And I go back up on stage and I finish my set, but it was like one of those things where I had to keep taking deep breaths, and that, yeah, not to show, that I was shaken by the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's about as close as I've got. I mean, there's worse stories with guys getting into fights, and yeah, it doesn't happen a lot, thank God. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen a lot. But I also think that it doesn't happen a lot to guys like you and I because of our size.
Yeah. It's kind of a little bit of an advantage, hopefully.
Yeah, and remember Roger and Roger?
Yeah.
Roger Peltz. I worked with Roger Peltz a lot up in Canada, and towards the end of his career, and he taught me this. The trick is that you really don't have to be afraid if somebody charges a stage, because it's always elevated, and they've got to take that one step up. And when they take that one step,
That's when
they're
you nail them.
they're way off balance. They got one
Yeah.
foot on the stage and one leg in the air, and that's when you nail them.
Yeah.
Never had to do that, but it gave me a sense of confidence,
Yeah.
because I've had a couple of people look at me like they were going to charge the stage, and they ended up not doing that. So yeah, so there's been a few confrontations, but for the most part, no, for the most part, you can shut hecklers up, and they're not going to get too uptight about it. They might get pissed, but most of them just get humiliated, or they're too drunk to realize that
Yeah.
everybody's laughing at them.
Well, I found the key is to let them talk as long as they want and let them
Uh,
trap themselves.
right,
A lot of times when you're beginning or you're just starting out, you want to get them immediately. But if
right,
you let them trap themselves, eventually you get the whole audience on your side.
right.
And then you start off with easy shots and then progressively get harder depending on how long they want to talk.
Right. And you want to let them give them you want to give them enough rope to hang themselves to where everybody's kind of aware that they're being a jerk,
Yeah.
and people
That
around
you're
them.
not, you're giving them the rope, but you're not actually hanging them yourself. They're hanging
Right.
themselves.
They're hanging themselves,
Right.
because and you watch the people around them to see, okay, how many people can hear them and how many people are getting annoyed. And
Right.
when it gets to that tipping point, when there's a lot of people that are obviously annoyed by this guy, boom, then you can start talking to them.
Yeah.
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 So there's an art to
Yes.
I'm not even scared of getting old. I'm scared of becoming my parents. My dad just turned 95. 95 years old. Yeah, give me a hand, man. My dad fought in World War II. That's how old my dad is. 95, fought in World War II. Yeah, sure. There you go. Still has most of his German accent, amazingly enough. Too soon? Okay. I'm excited for my dad. 95, he's getting married. Getting married for the second time. 95 years old. Can you imagine taking the plunge at 95? Very hard. Because 80% of marriages over 90 don't last more than 3 years. You people that didn't get that, go back to math, okay?
So, how many weeks a year before the virus? How many weeks a year were you on the road?
About 10.
10? Yeah.
In the 90s I did 30, but
Yeah.
then I started, I don't know. And then it was probably going to go up a little bit because I had just gotten on the cruise ships.
Okay.
And I did 2 weeks in January, and then I was ready to go 2 more weeks in March, and then this hit.
Oh, okay.
So
Which cruise ship?
it was the Classica and the Celebration Carnival.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did Norwegian, and worked with another comic, and we did shows every night, and we did 3 shows a night, and we would alternate. One night I would do 2 shows, he would do one. Next night he would do 2 shows, I would do one.
Right.
And there wasn't a whole lot of repeating. That made it tough. You weren't really the first 3 nights you weren't allowed to repeat, and then after that you could repeat.
Right.
So you got to have a lot of material to
A
do
lot of
those. Especially if you got to work clean. If you're used to working clubs and one-nighters where you pretty much say whatever you want, you don't have to think about what you're going to say.
Right. Now
Um,
you do.
now you do. Now you got to focus.
Different ball game.
Yeah, yeah. And I had the misfortune. I don't know if it's like that all the time. I only did one week. I did okay. The adult shows I did great because I'm used to doing clubs. But it was Thanksgiving week, so a lot of people brought their kids, their
Oh
families,
no.
and for some reason they always wanted to put the kids up front. So the first 2 or 3 rows would be anything from 6 years to 13 years old.
Oh no.
And then the parents and grandparents behind them. And the kids, they thought it was like a birthday clown show. They're just yelling stuff out and constantly interrupting and
That's annoying.
very annoying.
That's
It's
not fun.
No, it's not. It's hard to do material,
Yeah.
especially when you're used to performing for adults. And even if you're clean, you're not doing kid material anyway.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So,
And they have no attention span. That's
right,
it's not just alcohol. There's a reason we don't want anybody under 18 in the nightclub.
right, right. But the money was good, so
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, it's kind of boring though. Norwegian, we were treated like crew, so we couldn't associate, mingle with the passengers. We couldn't use the pool. We couldn't, uh, we just had to stick with the crew. I don't know if it was like that on Carnival.
Yeah.
It was the same.
Kind of.
Yeah, yeah. So that made it boring.
Yeah.
Because I was looking forward to if I could just lay by the pool. I mean, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But if you got to go back to your cabin and then
And stay there like you're a prisoner.
yeah,
It's like do your show, then you're under house arrest for 23
yeah,
hours.
yeah.
That's not fun.
No.
Can you
What?
put a pool? Can you put a pool right outside my room?
Yeah,
Maybe even just a baby pool, something I can
yeah,
lay in there.
yeah. Maybe a slip and slide
Yeah,
in the
slip and
hallway.
slide.
So what?
That's actually what they had at the pool. If you were a comedian and you went to the pool, they just put you on the slip and slide, and when you slid down, you landed right back in your room.
Yeah, right, right. What have been some of your most fun shows that you've done?
Fun shows. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good question. Um, Anytime at the Ice House
Oh yeah,
in Pasadena. That's
yeah,
just
I will say this: all women should control all real estate on their planet. There'd be no homeless people. Give a woman 60 people a one-bedroom apartment, she could make them fit. I know this because I've been in a woman's purse. How do you guys do it? How do you get so much junk in one place at one time? The only thing more pathetic than seeing a guy in a mall holding a woman's purse, the guy digging through that, thinking he's going to find what she put in there. If your wife or girlfriend ever asks you to get something out of her purse, just keep walking, pretend you didn't hear her, man. See a guy digging through a woman's purse like lipstick, lip gloss, eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, powder, blush, hand, face, suntan lotion, Q-tips, condoms, handkerchief, curling, curlers, mousse and gel, hairspray, hairbrush, hair dryer, toe clip, nail file, geyser, portrait, pencil, checkbook, wallet, charge cards, pictures, Motrin, aspirin, vitamin, perfume, panishes, bandages, Kotex, condoms, cleaners, Candy, cigarettes, sweats, nylons, garters, underwear, cotton, crotches, silk, blouse, push-up, plunging, see-through, button front, button back, slips, t-shirt, blouses, sweaters, camisole, leotard, lingerie, pumps, flats, heels, jogging, aerobic, walking shoes, pins, needles, spoon, fork, salt, pepper, sugar, spatula, harlequin romance, and a handgun. So don't ever mess with a woman. You guys been very nice.
you want a tight room that is people are sitting close together. You want intimacy.
dude, wood floors, they're packed in, low ceilings.
Low
It's a
ceilings.
and then it slants slightly down to the comics. It's actually a perfectly built room.
It is. It's like a miniature stadium where you're looking down at the action,
Yeah,
and the comedian is at the lowest point in the room.
yeah,
So there isn't a bad seat in the house.
yeah. If I was building a club, that's exactly how I would build.
Yeah, yeah. And the walls are brick. Actually, used to be an ice house where they
Right,
stored ice. So when the laughs come, they just bounce off the
right,
ceiling,
but
off the
yeah.
walls.
The sound is just amazing in that room.
Yeah, And so yeah, so that's for anybody out there ready to build a comedy club, go to the Ice House.
Yeah, yeah. Don't get an architect. Just go check out the ice house and then get the what do they call them? The blueprints for that room,
Right,
and then
right.
just build it bigger. Make it 250.
Yeah. So many of these one-nighters and yeah, mainly one-nighters where they don't do comedy regularly. They'll have a huge dance floor between the stage and the audience
High
and
ceilings,
high ceilings,
no cover charge.
right?
Oh, and by the way, thanks for throwing some carpet
Yeah. But yeah, intimacy is a whole thing. The closer the audience is to the
in. Yeah,
stage,
of course.
the closer
And the
they're
more
sitting together,
they pay, the
and the
more they
more
pay,
and the more they
and
pay.
the tighter they sit, and the wood floors and the low
Yeah,
ceilings, those are all good things.
yeah. And when you charge, you weed out the people that aren't there to see comedy,
Yeah,
and those are
and then
usually the
a
ones
good
that,
bouncer always helps.
yeah,
Ma'am, you're
yeah,
going to have to keep it down. Now, if we have to talk to you again,
right. You know, a club that does that better than well, that's open now. I could name a few that aren't open anymore, but the Tacoma Comedy Club has a great policy, and they've cultivated an audience that is
pays
fantastic.
attention.
That pays attention. They pay a good cover charge, and they don't put up with heckling. They do exactly what you said. It's like
Yeah,
one warning. And although, well, the week I worked there, I was truly impressed because somebody disrespected one of the waitresses. You know, said, "Hey, where's my fucking drink?" And the waitress told security, and security came over and kicked them out. It's like
wow,
you don't disrespect our wait staff. You know, I mean, you know, why be rude?
right,
And so the people that want to see comedy come back because they're not going to see a bunch of or hear a bunch of idiots interrupting the show or being disrespectful, or they're there to see comedy.
right.
So that's the beauty of it. So what have you done? Have you pursued anything in film? I mean, I read some of your credits, some writing credits, and some movie projects and things like that.
Yeah,
Is there
I
anything you want to
got
talk
right
about?
now. I got here. You want to say hi to Bo? Bo wants to say hi. Say hi,
Oh, okay,
Bo.
good.
um, I got a two shows my agent's pitching right now, so who knows what's happening. Um, one's called Education with a K, and then the other one is called Autocracy. So we're just waiting to hear on that. I just literally finished the pitch pack and all that, and then Autocracy, we actually spent some money and made a good 2 minute trailer.
Oh,
So
so these are shows you're pitching to networks?
yeah, well,
Okay.
we sent it over to Netflix first, and she's supposed to be hearing from them next week. Then she's going to see what the feedback is, and then she said then she's going to pitch to specific places that are looking for that kind of content because she said she's got a thing which what all each network is looking for. So hopefully a lot of them will be looking for something like that. Who knows?
Well, what is it? Because I mean, the titles don't indicate comedy. Is it
Yeah,
comedy?
they're both comedies.
Okay. Okay.
So the Bad Education is kind of uh, it's like a charter school, and it's a guy that he's running the charter school, and he has his two sons go to the charter school, and he got those sons in divorces with his two wives, and so they're each from one other wife. So he's trying to make a reconnection, but he's the principal of the school too, and then everyone around him is women, and they live in this little cul-de-sac that went bad during the housing crisis of 2008 because he used to be in real estate with one of his wives, but now the houses are all just in the neighborhood and they all live in those houses. And
Okay.
then he runs the charter school. So, but he's surrounded by women that are real savvy, and he always has to try to beat them to the spot on the floor, basically. So and then the autocracies kind of it's Arrested Development meets uh, the show that was on HBO with Julia Louis Dreyfus. political show.
Veeps?
Veep.
Veep?
It's Arrested Development meets Veep for the world. That's how you
Okay.
would describe it.
Okay.
So it's a monarchy. It's a pretend country. All the other countries are real, but the monarchy is a pretend country, kind of
Okay.
based on how Thailand runs their country. And it's a young guy that because his dad has died, so he becomes king and he's just an idiot.
Okay.
And then his sister's real smart, you know, and she should be running the country, but the idiot's running the
Right. And
country. Kind of like that.
okay. So you spent your time, you're down to 10 weeks, 10 weeks on the road. And I've done the same thing. I've gone through the same process. You know, I was raising a family and working on my, really ambitious about my career and all that stuff. I was doing 35 weeks a year through the 90s and the early 2000s. And then gradually started tapering off. And I'm probably doing about like you, like 10 weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm not ambitious enough to be writing TV scripts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I got some help. My daughter helped me, and she's a pretty bright kid. So I feel pretty fortunate to hook my wagon to her. So
Oh, great. Awesome.
yeah.
I want to tell you a story and see if you have any similar stories. I've been wanting I started out this channel by just me telling stories, and I've realized, well, that's going to get boring pretty fast. I need some guests. So, but this is one of the stories I wanted to tell, and you can tell me if you had a similar experience. I got a gig in LA some years ago, and it was just a one-nighter, and I forget who booked it, but he said, just go there and do the show. Acted like it was a regular show. I get there, and we go, and the guy that opens the door for us is this big guy wearing $1,000 suit. And I walk in and go, yeah, there's a stage right there. And there's a stripper pole and a shower drain in the middle of the stage. And they're not open yet. And they got a liquor license notice on the window. You know, they're applying for a liquor license. And he explains to me that, well, you know, we're applying as a comedy club, but it's going to be a strip club. We want to we don't want the community to try to block our liquor license. Is basically the story. So he goes, well, so it won't be a big audience, but we want you to do the show. And then he goes, now, the wall behind the stage, if you hear any yelling while you're on stage, just ignore it. That's the owner talking to one of the employees.
Oh my God.
This is a guy like he's looking like a mobster in a suit, yeah, talking like one.
Oh my gosh.
And so about 6 people show up, probably friends of the owner, and we do the show on this stripper stage, and got paid, and that was it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What city was this in?
It was one of the incorporated LA cities.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember which one.
Commerce or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
But we're going to open as a comedy club so we don't get problems from the community.
Yeah. And then we'll make the switch. We'll
Yeah.
have our liquor license, and comedy club went out of business. We switched.
And we're close enough to Palm Springs to where we can dispose of the bodies. We don't want to upset the community.
Have you had any experiences like that?
Yeah, I did the Funny Bone in Knoxville once. And they said, we got an extra show for you after the show Thursday night. I go, oh, great. Yeah, you make $200, whatever.
All right.
And I go over and it's like a strip club. And it was like a skanky strip club. So that was a little weird. They just stopped the strippers and then we did the comedy and then they went back to the strip.
How did that go over?
Oh, just horrible. Just like the only good thing is we got paid. So
yeah. And how many jobs haven't we taken just to get paid?
Oh yeah. Hey,
You know?
it's a gas bill.
Yeah, just to pay the bills. It's like,
Yeah.
and then hopefully you get to a point where you get enough good paying gigs that you can.
You don't have to do those anymore.
You don't have to do those anymore.
Right.
But you got to pay your dues.
Pay your dues.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. Anyway, that's about all I've got for now. Anything?
Okay.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Sorry about the snafu at the beginning, but I'm glad we got it up.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of funny. That's you're the I believe you're the fifth person I'm doing this with. So
Right. Yeah.
maybe I can.
I thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, I thank you for taking the time to do it and going through all the trouble to get it fixed. And
Yeah.
thank
I'm
your
sorry it took
daughter.
so long.
Thank
Hold
your
on.
daughter.
Hold on, buddy.
And don't.
Okay. Just somebody delivering a package.
All right, don't get in a fight.
Leif, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for doing
Stay in
it.
touch. Thanks, buddy. Be safe.
All right, take care. Bye.